Hello students, welcome to Tirumal Classes. ఈరోజు మనం 6th class NCERT history నుండి 6th chapter మాట్లాడుతున్నాం. What is the 6th chapter here? The new questions and ideas. But directly, this chapter is going to talk about basics that are related to two prominent religions in India right now. For example, one is the Jainism, next one Buddhism. We all know initially in India there was one religion, we call it as Hinduism, was the one religion initially around 2500 years ago. There was the prominent religion called Hinduism. In fact, India is called India, Indus, Bharatkhanda. We already talked about these basics in our previous NCERT classes. ఇక్కడ మీరు చూసినట్లయితే initially around 2500 years ago in India we had a religion, or we have a religion called Hinduism, which is more predominant. But there are some inequalities, social inequalities, economic inequalities within this particular religion. For example, I can call it as Varna system. You know, already there were Varna system in India. When I say there were 4 Varnas, Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudras, and later another was added. We call them as Ati Shudras or untouchables. But according to Varna system, Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, above 3 were called as Dvijas. We call them as twice born, and they have different activities. But when I say Shudras, they are meant to serve upper 3 communities. In that way, there was a lot of social discrimination within Hinduism initially. That is the reason why some of the princes, some of the kings slowly spread their ideology into human-centric. That is the reason why new religions got emerged in India. The 2 new religions I can call Jainism and Buddhism. In Jainism, they always avoiding violence. Means they always believe in non-violence. They always believe in, they follow extremely non-violent path. Means they don't want any sort of violence. Even killing a small insect is prohibited within Jainism. But whereas when you come to Buddhism, it is more liberal. So which one you follow? Which is more strict or more liberal? Human tendency, we always follow the liberal path, middle path, not extreme path. So Buddhism gave more emphasis on liberal middle path, whereas Jainism followed extreme path where people were not comfortable. That is the reason why first there was Jainism in India, later emergence of Buddhism, but Buddhism even flourishing right now in India, in Southeast Asian countries, like when you go to Myanmar, when you go to Thailand, when you go to Vietnam. So you know, there they can follow Buddhism, including our Tibet, including our Bhutan, everywhere. But Jainism was largely seen in some parts of India because of its extreme path it follows. Buddhism is like always a moderate or middle path. Let us have some basic ideas about Buddhism and Jainism. What are the important component in this? Here first I am talking about story of Buddha. You know, generally Lord Buddha. So Buddha initially, before enlightenment, he was a king. He was a princess. After enlightenment, he became Gautama Buddha. But when he was a princess, there was lot many stories about his birth and all that we will discuss in upcoming classes. But whereas we're in 6th class, I'll talk fundamental what are present in the book. Look at boys. The original name of Buddha is like Siddhartha. When he was a king, we call him as Siddhartha, and he was married at the earliest. After marrying, he has 2 kids, and after some married life, he felt like one day he is walking on the streets of his own kingdom. He has come across some incidents like watching a poor man or watching a deceased person or dead body like that. He has seen a saint who is moving on the road, dead body, a person with old age, many more things he come across. Finally he realized that what is life. And అన్ని సంవత్సరాలు ఆయన చూసిన రాజభోగాలు different. What and all he has seen suddenly, that is different. Hence Buddha started thinking, what is life? What is the exact meaning of life? He wanted to find the meaning of life. That is the reason why he was born around 2500 years ago. Initial name was Siddha. Later he became Gautama Buddha. In fact, he is the founder of Buddhism. Who is the founder of Buddhism? Gautama Buddha, or Siddhartha was known as the founder of Buddhism. He was born around 2500 years ago. This is the time period where we can see rapid changes in the lives of the people. There was economic change, political change, cultural change, societal change. That is the reason why this is the time period we can talk about. There was a rapid changes that were happened in the Indian society and the lives of the people. Gautama Buddha, after seeing all the incidents like a dead body, like a saint, another old person, a deceased person, after looking at them, he has a question. What is life? I am like this. Somebody is already dead. Somebody is living a very poor life. Somebody is a saint. So exactly what is life? He had that question in his mind, and he is left his home for getting the answer to such a questions. What is life? What is essence of life? That is the reason why he left the home at the earliest. Gautama Buddha left the home at the earliest, and he met several people. Like many thinkers were trying to understand these changes that are happening in the Indian society. They also wanted to try to find out the true meaning of life. You tell me, my dear students, what is the true meaning of life? What is the true meaning of life? Earning money, getting job, and having children. What is the true meaning of life? During the time, because of societal change, they got this question, what is the true meaning of life? They wanted to find answer for true meaning of life. Hence, they started roaming various places. They started finding the truth for their questions. Are you getting it right? Look now, Buddha, generally, Gautama Buddha belonged to a small Ghana, which is known as Sakya Ghana. If you remember, when I say Ghana, it is a small territory. It is a small territory, we call it as Ghana. In 16 Mahajanapadas, in Vajji, we told there are several Ghanas. Ghana is nothing but a small territory. That small territory, we call it as Sakya Ghana or Sakya clan under the Gautama Buddha was basically belonged to Kshatriya. He was a Kshatriyan, belonged to Sakya Ghana, and he was a princess. So let us look at him. When he was a young man, he left his home in search of knowledge because he wanted to find around 29 years around. He left his home. He left his home along with his horse, along with his charioteer. There are names like Kantaka, like there were names Channa. Kantaka is his horse name. Channa is his horse rider name. That we will see in the upcoming lectures. But at the age 29, he left his house in search of knowledge. What is life? What is reality? What is illusion? He wanted to know everything. That is the reason why after leaving home, he wandered for several years. He met several thinkers. But nowhere he get what is exact meaning of life, what is exact true knowledge is. Look, after leaving home, Gautama Buddha met many thinkers in his process of getting knowledge. He met many thinkers. Buddha, not exactly Buddha, we call him as initially Siddhartha. Siddhartha meeting many thinkers just to find the answer for his questions. But nobody gave proper answer to Siddhartha questions, which means he is not satisfied. After meeting several people, wandering at several places, one fine day, Gautama Buddha decided to find his own path, or Siddhartha decided to find his own path. Then he started meditating for several days under a tree called People Tree. After meeting several people, I don't find what is knowledge. Then one fine day decided, I'll find my own way to get the knowledge. And he started sitting under a peepal tree and started doing meditation. After doing meditation, all of a sudden, several days of meditation, after several distractions, but he was constantly doing his meditation, finally, he got enlightenment. When I say enlightenment, suddenly he got to know what is the truth. Generally we call, where he did all the meditation and all, he did in a place called Buddha Gaya. Right now in Bihar, there is a place called Buddha Gaya. In Buddha Gaya, there is a peepal tree. Under peepal tree, he did his meditation and he got enlightenment. After enlightenment, what is enlightenment? Getting answers to all his questions. Finding the real meaning of life is called enlightenment. Siddhartha, after enlightenment, become Gautama Buddha. Siddhartha, after enlightenment, under peepal tree, after doing so long meditation, he became Gautama Buddha. The religion he followed, the principles he followed led to a religion called Buddhism. Got it right? He got enlightenment. See, Siddhartha is a normal person. But after enlightenment, he became, let us say, Gautama Buddha. So, after doing meditation under peepal tree, he got enlightenment. Hence, suddenly Siddhartha became what? Gautama Buddha. And the principles he followed led into a religion called Buddhism. After enlightenment, he started giving, in fact, started sharing his knowledge. For example, when you learn something, you will start sharing with others or not. Same way, after enlightenment, he came to know what is life, what is the meaning of life, and everything. He got all the questions. He got all the answers. At the same time, he wanted to teach his answers, his solutions to the rest of the world for their peaceful life, to get enlightenment or to get a good moksha or salvation. His first sermon was given at Sarnath, Varanasi. There is a deer park in Sarnath. He has given his first sermon. First sermon is nothing but after enlightenment, he started giving his lecture, started sharing his knowledge with the rest of the people. We call it as first sermon of Gautama Buddha was done at Sarnath, Varanasi. After traveling so many years, throughout his life, Gautama Buddha traveling to various places on his foot, going to different places and sharing knowledge to the people, spreading ideology to the people in order to get the real meaning of life. But finally, Gautama Buddha was passed away at a place called Kushinagar. He passed away at a place called Kushinagar. Sir, as it is a 6th class NCERT, it mentioned only very basics. But this is not ultimate thing about Buddhism and Jainism. There is a lot to discuss. But 6th class basics. Okay, everyone? Yes. So he was passed away at Kushinagar. After enlightenment, his first sermon was conducted at Sarnath. And where he got enlightenment? At Buddha Gaya, he got enlightenment. Generally, where the birth of Buddha was happened? Gautama Buddha birth was happened at Lumbini. Lumbini right now is in Nepal. Lumbini. So his birth was happened in Lumbini and the first sermon was given at Sarnath. His enlightenment was happened at Buddha Gaya. He was passed away at a place called Kushinagar. Clear everyone? Yes. After death of Buddha, his religion, his principles was carried by Buddha followers. Hence slowly we become or that become a Buddhism, a new form of religion. Look carefully. According to Buddha, because I told Buddha went to various places to teach his ideologies. So according to Buddha, he thought that life is a full of suffering and unhappiness. So me life good ante kadamma. Everybody life is a full of sufferings and unhappiness. Sir, why you are suffering? Naku idi kavali, naku raledu. Suffering. Suffering resulting into what? Unhappiness. Life is so sad all the time. But Buddha always telling why there is a suffering, why there is unhappiness. Look, Gautama Buddha said, you are suffering, your unhappiness is because of two reasons. One is like a cravings, next one desires. So when you control your desires and your cravings, you can control your suffering, you can control your unhappiness, you will become always happy. So నువ్వు హ్యాపీగా ఉండాలి అంటే నువ్వు సఫరింగ్ని అంటే నీ డిజైర్స్ని కంట్రోల్ చేసుకోవాలి, నీ క్రేవింగ్స్ని కంట్రోల్ చేసుకోవాలి. సో దట్ యూ విల్ బి నాట్ సఫరింగ్, యూ విల్ బి ఆల్వేస్ హ్యాపీ. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, నాకు ఇప్పుడు క్రేవింగ్ వచ్చిందమ్మా బిర్యానీ తినాలని. రోజు బిర్యానీ తింటున్నా, కొన్ని రోజుల తర్వాత నా హెల్త్ పాడవుతుంది. నా హెల్త్ పాడవటం అంటే ఐఎమ్ సఫరింగ్ ఆర్ నాట్? మై సఫరింగ్ రిజల్టింగ్ ఇన్ టు అన్హ్యాపీనెస్ ఆర్ నాట్? సో వెన్ యూ కంట్రోల్ యువర్ డిజైర్స్, desire can be positive or negative. Your negative desires can result into what? Suffering and unhappiness. Positive desires, it is good. And when your craving is bad, automatically suffering and unhappiness. So what Buddha says, ప్రతి మనిషి లైఫ్లో సఫరింగ్ అండ్ అన్హ్యాపీనెస్ ఈజ్ ఎ కామన్. బట్ వాటిని మనం ఎలా కంట్రోల్ చేయాలి అంటే బై కంట్రోలింగ్ యువర్ క్రేవింగ్స్ అండ్ డిజైర్స్. When you control your cravings and desires, you can control suffering, you can control unhappiness. So human life is very peaceful. Getting everyone, this is what Buddha taught everywhere, basics. The people to be kind. Buddha always advising people need to be very kind, because for human existence, kindness is very, very important. For human existence, kindness is very, very important. Buddha always says that people need to be kind with respect to the lives of others, including animals. For example, I am a human, you are a fellow human being. There should be kindness. You should be kind on me, I should be kind on you. Not only us, we should be kind on the plants, animals, everything that exists around. So kindness is one of the fundamental quality of humans. So human must be kind every time. That is what Buddha believes. Buddha also believes karma theory. I think we heard this theory many of the times. నువ్వు ఏదైతే చేస్తావో అదే నీకు తిరిగి వస్తుంది. దీన్నే కర్మ సిద్ధాంతం అంటాం. మంచి చేసావా మంచి వస్తుంది, అబద్ధాలు చెప్పావా నీకు అబద్ధాలే వస్తాయి, ఇంకొక లైఫ్ని పాడు చేసావా నీ లైఫ్ మళ్ళీ పాడవుతుంది. సో ద పాయింట్ హియర్ ఈస్, నువ్వెంత జెన్యూన్గా ఉంటే నీకు వచ్చే రిజల్ట్స్ అంత బాగుంటాయి. నువ్వెంత పొల్యూటెడ్గా ఉంటే నీకు వచ్చే రిజల్ట్స్ కూడా పొల్యూటెడ్గానే ఉంటాయి. ద పాయింట్ హియర్ ఈస్ కర్మ థియరీ. సో వాట్ డూ యూ డూ, దట్ విల్ రిఫ్లెక్ట్స్ బ్యాక్స్. మంచి చేస్తే మంచి, చెడు చేస్తే చెడు. సో బుద్ధ ఆల్వేస్ బిలీవ్డ్ ఇన్ థియరీ ఆఫ్ కర్మ. ఇఫ్ యూ డూ గుడ్ యూ విల్ గెట్ గుడ్, ఇఫ్ యూ డూ బ్యాడ్ you will get bad. So he believed in karma theory, and Buddha taught in a language of ordinary people. I will tell you this. At the time of 2500 years ago, during the time, there was a community called as Kshatriya community, Brahmin community, let us say Rajas, upper class, and there was something called lower class. Upper class people used to follow a language called Sanskrit. Only Brahmins, Kshatriya, Vaishya might follow Sanskrit. The lower class people were not allowed to learn a language called Sanskrit. So this is only higher class people, lower class people can't understand. But Buddha, that is why, even though he is a Kshatriya, he learning local man language, he started giving all his teachings in a ordinary people language. At the time, the ordinary people language would be called Prakrit. So that every common man, every ordinary man can understand what is the principles that are given by Buddha, so that might result into a better society. So Buddha taught in the language of ordinary people. What is that ordinary people language? Prakrit. He also encouraged people to think for themselves rather than simply accept what he said. Very important, no? ఎప్పుడు కూడా నేను చెప్పింది వినమని అనకూడదండి. బుద్ధ ఏం చెప్పేవాళ్ళంటే, నేను ఇది చెప్పాను, దీన్ని మీరు ఆలోచించి ఫాలో అవ్వండి. మీనింగ్, ఒకరు చెప్పింది మీరు బ్లైండ్గా ఫాలో అయితే అట్ సమ్ పాయింట్ మీకు డౌట్ వస్తుంది. అదే మీరు ఆలోచించి ఫాలో అయితే మీకు ఏ పాయింట్లో కూడా డౌట్ రాదు. ఆర్ యూ గెటింగ్ ఇట్ రైట్? సో బుద్ధ ఆల్వేస్ సేస్ దట్ నేను ఏదైతే టీచింగ్స్ ఇస్తానో అది మీరు ఒక్కసారి ఆలోచించి ఫాలో అవ్వండి. వాట్ ఎవర్ ఐ సే, యూ థింక్ ఇట్. డోంట్ ఫాలో బ్లైండ్లీ, యూ థింక్. If it is true, you follow. That is what the famous thing. And Buddha always wanted people to think. Buddha always wanted people to think. When you think and follow, you will follow for lifetime. When you are randomly following at some point, there will be a doubt. That is what Buddha teachings like. Look, there is a stupa called the stupa at Sarnath. Sir, when I say Sarnath, you know, Buddha first message after getting enlightenment, Buddha first speech given at Sarnath, hence there was a stupa. We call it as Sarnath stupa, very, very important. But when I say in India, there was 6 schools of Indian philosophy. Philosophy law, India is known for philosophies. There are 6 schools of philosophies: Vaiseshika, Nyaya, Samkhya, Yoga, another thing like Purva Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa. These are the 6 schools of Indian philosophy. These are the 6 schools of Indian philosophy. Example, Jonama, Vaisheshika, Nyaya, Samkhya, Yoga, Purva Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa. We call them as 6 philosophical schools. What are they? You will understand in the upcoming classes. As we are in 6th class, basics. Try to understand. There is a 6 schools of Indian philosophy. Look now, with this we talked about Buddhism, but let us a few things about Upanishads. You know, limbs of Vedas can be called as Upanishads. Limbs of Vedas, you know, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Atharvan Veda, we discussed it or not? Yes. The limbs of Vedas can be called Upanishads. Basically, when I say Upanishads, literally means approaching and sitting near, and the text that contains conversation between teacher and students. ఒక టీచర్ దగ్గర స్టూడెంట్స్ కూర్చొని ఏదైతే ఆయన చెప్పేది నేర్చుకుంటున్నారో that is in generally called Upanishads. But when I say look at here, some of them wanted to know about life after death and what do you mean by sacrifices and what type of sacrifices should be performed by human in his life. You tell me what is life after death. You tell me what type of sacrifices one has to do in his lifetime. So all these answers we wanted to know. That is why there is one concept called as Atman. There is a concept called Atman. Sir, what is Atman? For example, you are alive. You are alive means something was there in your body. You are dead, which means something left your body. What is something present? What is something left? We call it as Jiva, Atma, Paramatma. All this is what called once having Atma, Paramatma within himself. When it is there, you are alive. When it is left, you are dead. You are dead. And there is death to your physical body, but not to the Atma or Paramatma that is present in your body. Once you are dead, your soul is coming out, that is entering in somewhere. Are you getting? There is no death for Atma. Soul is immortal. Only death for your body. Are you getting, everyone? Yes. Look, he is the teacher. Students are learning here. After learning, your life will be very joyful. There is a men like Brahmins and Rajas. Okay, they also followed Buddhism. Women thinkers like Gargi, Apala, Gosha, Maitreyi, they also followed. There were poor people like there is Satyakama Jabala. They also followed such a type of religions. They also learned Upanishads. They also learned Upanishads. Next, there is a person like Panini, important for prelims. Panini, who prepared grammar for Sanskrit. You know Sanskrit and Prakrit? Sanskrit is the language of higher class. Prakrit is a language of common man. So, who wrote grammar for this Sanskrit? You know, English is having a grammar, right? Like Sanskrit and a language ki grammar ever rasaru. There was a person called Panini. He is the person who wrote grammar for Sanskrit. Sanskrit is a language of higher varnas. The language of mass or lower class people can be called Prakrit. Understand, everyone? Buddha gave all his teachings in ordinary people language we called Prakrit. That is some basics about Buddhism given under 6th class NCERT. In upcoming we will learn few more things, don't worry. Let us talk about Jainism now. I told Jainism is the oldest religion కంపేర్డ్ టు బుద్ధిజం. బుద్ధిజం కంటే ఫస్ట్ వచ్చింది జైనిజం, ఆ తర్వాత బుద్ధిజం వచ్చింది. లుక్, ఇన్ జైనిజం దెర్ వర్ తీర్థంకరాస్, టోటల్ 24 తీర్థంకరాస్ who propagated principles in Jainism, but we need 24th తీర్థంకర. The 24th తీర్థంకర in Jainism, we call him వర్ధమాన్ మహావీర. జైనిజంలో తీర్థంకరాస్ ఉంటారు. ఎవరైతే జైనిజంని ప్రాపగేట్ చేస్తారో వాళ్ళందరినీ తీర్థంకరాస్ అంటాం. టోటల్ 24 మంది తీర్థంకరాస్ ఉంటారు. బుద్ధిజంలో ఒక ఆయన గౌతమ బుద్ధ. ఇక్కడ 24 తీర్థంకరాస్. 24th తీర్థంకర పేరు వచ్చేసి వర్ధమాన్ మహావీర్. ఈజ్ ఆల్సో బిలాంగ్ టు 2500 years ago. He was a contemporary of Gautama Buddha. He was a contemporary of Gautama Buddha. Contemporary means both are in a same time scale. Look, he is at the age of 30 years, he left home. Almost for 12 years, he was roamed in the forest alone. Buddha met several thinkers. Mr. like Vardhaman Mahavir, after leaving home at the age of 30, I mean to say 12 years, he roamed alone in the forest in search of knowledge. But remember, after that, he got enlightenment. What is enlightenment? Getting answers to all of your questions. That is what called enlightenment. But he is also belong to Kshatriya family. There is a kingdom called Licchavis. Licchavi. You know, there is a place called Vajji. Vajji is one of the Mahajanapadas. In 16 Mahajanapadas are not. It is also small Gana. Licchavi. Alage Sakya clan where Buddha belonged to, that is also small Gana. So, Vardhaman Mahavir belonged to Licchavis. 30 years he left home. After 12 years roaming alone, he got enlightenment. And he is also propagated Jainism. He added principles to Jainism. 23 తీర్థంకరాస్ ఉన్నారు. వాళ్ళు చెప్పింది కాకుండా ఈయన కొత్త పాయింట్స్ కూడా యాడ్ చేశారు. ఏంటవన్నీ we will talk in upcoming lectures, don't worry, only basic here. Look, he taught simple doctrine. What is a simple doctrine? Man, woman who wish to know truth must leave their homes. Men అయినా ఉమెన్ అయినా అసలు లైఫ్ అంటే ఏంటో తెలుసుకోవాలి అంటే వాళ్ళు ఖచ్చితంగా ఇల్లు వదిలేయాలి ఫస్ట్. యూ లీవ్ ద హోమ్ అండ్ గో టు ద ఫారెస్ట్ అండ్ ట్రై టు ఫైండ్ ద నాలెడ్జ్, ద ట్రూ మీనింగ్ ఆఫ్ లైఫ్. సో ట్రూ మీనింగ్ ఆఫ్ లైఫ్ తెలియాలంటే మీరు ఏం చేయాలి? ఇల్లు వదిలేసి బయటికి వెళ్ళిపోవాలి. ఆర్ యూ గెటింగ్ ఇట్ రైట్? నెక్స్ట్, ద ఫాలో రూలర్స్ అంటే మీనింగ్ ఎవరైతే జైనిజం ఫాలో అవుతారో దే స్ట్రిక్ట్లీ ఫాలో సంథింగ్ కాల్డ్ యాజ్ అహింస. అంటే వాళ్ళు హింస చెయ్యరు. దే కాంట్ కిల్ ఈవెన్ ఏ స్మాల్ ఇన్సెక్ట్. సార్, వర్ధమాన మహావీర్ ఏమంటారు? మీకు ఎన్లైటన్మెంట్ రావాలని ఇంట్లోని బయటికి వెళ్ళాలి అంటారు. మీరు మీ ఇంట్లో ఉండి చదువుకున్నా, మీరు మీ ఇంట్లో ఉండి అంటే ఒక సేఫ్ జోన్లో ఉన్నట్టు. సేఫ్ జోన్ ఈజ్ ఆల్వేస్ ఎ కేజ్. అదొక పంజరం లాంటిది. మీరు మీ ఇంట్లోనే ఉంటే కష్టం తెలీదు, బయట ప్రపంచం తెలీదు, కాంపిటీషన్ తెలీదు, మనుషులు ఎలా ఉంటారో తెలియదు, మీ లోపాలు కూడా మీకు తెలియదు. బికాజ్ ఇంట్లో వాళ్ళు మన లోపాలు మనకు చెప్పరు పెద్దగా. అది నువ్వు బయటకు వస్తేనే కదా కాంపిటీషన్ ఏంటి, ప్రపంచం ఏంటి, నువ్వెక్కడున్నావు, నీ లోపాలు ఏంటి. కెన్ ఐ కాల్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఎన్లైటన్మెంట్ ఆర్ నాట్ అంటారుగా. బయటకు వచ్చాకే నాకు ప్రపంచం అంటే ఏంటో తెలిసింది, మా ఇంట్లో నుండి బయటకు వచ్చాక నాకు ప్రపంచం అంటే ఏంటో తెలిసింది. కెన్ ఐ కాల్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఎన్లైటన్మెంట్ ఆర్ నాట్? దట్ ఈస్ వాజ్ వర్ధమాన మహావీర్. జైనిజం స్ట్రిక్ట్లీ యూ హ్యావ్ టు ఫాలో extremely ahimsa, and you should not do any type of violence. Even killing a small insect is a violence. That is very extreme level. This Jainism also used Prakrit language. When I say Prakrit language, it is a language of a common man. It's a language of common man. Next, followers of Mahavira who are known as Jainas. ఎవరైతే వర్ధమాన మహావీర్ని ఫాలో అవుతున్నారు, followers called as Jainas. And the Buddhism కానీ Jainism కానీ కామన్గా they always going for begging for food. They are absolutely honest. They are not stealing anything. వాళ్ళు నిజాయితీగా ఉంటారు, ఎలాంటి దొంగతనం చేయరు, ఎవ్రీడే బయటికి వెళ్తారు, ఫుడ్ను అడుక్కుంటారు, తింటారు. సార్, అడుక్కొని దేనికి తినాలి? బెగ్గింగ్ అంటే యు ఆర్ సరెండరింగ్. నో ఈగోస్, నథింగ్. యు ఆర్ సరెండరింగ్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్. యు ఆర్ బెగ్గింగ్ and you are eating how much ever you wanted, that's it. You are not having any surplus here. Next thing, they follow celibacy. They maintain absolute celibacy. They are not going to marriage. సో మ్యారేజ్ చేసుకోవద్దు అనే ప్రిన్సిపల్ యాడ్ చేసింది వర్ధమాన్ మహావీర్. వర్ధమాన్ మహావీర్ యాడెడ్ డోంట్ మ్యారీ. ఐ టెల్ యూ మోర్ అబౌట్ దిస్. అలాగే మ్యాన్ హ్యాడ్ టు గివ్ అప్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్ ఇంక్లూడింగ్ దర్ క్లాత్స్. మీరు జైనిజం అయ్యేసరికి యూ హ్యావ్ టు రిమూవ్ యువర్ క్లాత్స్. బికాస్ ఇన్ జైనిజంలో రెండు టూ సెక్ట్స్ అంటాం ఓన్లీ. టూ సెక్ట్. వన్ ఈజ్ కాల్డ్ యాజ్ శ్వేతాంబరాస్, నెక్స్ట్ వన్ దిగంబరాస్. శ్వేతాంబరాస్, they wear white clothes. Digambaras, no clothes. Initially, Jainism followed only Digambaras, no clothes on your body. Development of new sect called as Svetambaras, who are carrying a white cloths on them. So Jainism two sects. One is Svetambaras, Digambaras. Sir, where Buddhism lo leva sect unnai. Upcoming classes lo maatladukuntam. What are the Buddhism sect? Mahayana Buddhism, Hinayana Buddhism, Vajrayana Buddhism. Like we will talk about the types in Buddhism and Jainism. Okay everyone? So, మీరు కానీ జైనిజంలో ఉంటే you should be naked all the time. Jainism was supported mainly by traders and farmers. కానీ traders, farmers always. Farmers agriculture చేయాలి, traders కూడా agriculture and other activities చేయాలి. బట్ జైనిజం ఏంటి? మీరు ఖచ్చితంగా అహింసను ఫాలో అవ్వాలి. మరి అగ్రికల్చర్లో యు ఆర్ టిల్లింగ్ ద ల్యాండ్ మీన్స్ యు ఆర్ కిల్లింగ్ ది ఆర్గానిజం, రైట్? దట్ ఈస్ వై లేటర్ ఆన్ ద ట్రేడర్స్, ఫార్మర్స్, దే ఆర్ నాట్ ఫాలోయింగ్ జైనిజం బికాస్ దే ఎంఫసైజ్డ్ ఆన్ extremely you have to follow ahimsa path. Very critical, no? So then how do you eat? How do you survive? Even though when you are bathing, some organism is going to die. So that is not possible practically. It spread to different parts of North India. మీరు బుద్ధిజం తీసుకుంటే ఇట్స్ దేర్ ఇన్ ఇండియా, ఇట్ ఇస్ దేర్ ఇన్ నేపాల్, భూటాన్ అండ్ సౌత్ ఈస్ట్ ఏషియా. బట్ జైనిజం వాజ్ స్ప్రెడ్ అక్రాస్ నార్త్ ఇండియన్. స్టిల్ దేర్ ఆర్ సమ్ నార్త్ ఇండియన్ కమ్యూనిటీస్ ఫాలోడ్ దిస్ సంథింగ్ కాల్డ్ జైనిజం. అలాగే బుద్ధిజంలో జైనిజంలో there is a common concept called Sangha. What is Sangha? Look, both Mahavira and Buddha felt that only those who left their homes could gain the true knowledge. ఇద్దరు ఏం చెప్తారంటే ఇంట్లో నుండి బయటికి రా, you will understand what is life. Stay together in what? Sanghas. బుద్ధిజంలో కానీ జైనిజంలో కానీ మీరు ఇంట్లో నుండి బయటకు వచ్చిన తర్వాత ఎక్కడైతే ఉంటారు కదా హాస్టల్స్ కానీ వాట్ ఎవర్ ప్రజెంట్ లాంగ్వేజ్ ప్రకారం దే ఆర్ ఆల్ స్టేయింగ్ అట్ వన్ ప్లేస్. వీ కాల్ దెమ్ as Sangha. Buddhist Sangha, Jain Sanghas, we call them as Sanghas. The rules made for Buddhist Sangha were written down in a book called Vinaya Pitaka. Generally, Buddhism 3 books ఉంటాయి. Vinaya Pitaka, Sutta Pitaka, Abhidhamma Pitaka. We will talk about them. But నువ్వు బుద్ధిజంలో ఉంటే ఎలాంటి రూల్స్ ఫాలో అవ్వాలో అని ఏ బుక్లో రాశారు? వినయం ఈజ్ నథింగ్ బట్ యువర్ బిహేవియర్. Vinayam is your behavior. ఈ వినయ పీఠకాలో they have written certain rules that need to be followed by a Buddhist monk and separate branches for men and women. Of course, right? Men and women together, there will be a chance of intimacy. There will be a chance of dependency, sexual attraction. Hence, there was a separate branch for women, separate branch for men. Look, all men could join in sanghas. ఈ బుద్ధిస్ట్ కానీ జైన్ సంఘాల్లో అందరూ జాయిన్ అవ్వచ్చు. చిల్డ్రన్స్ జాయిన్ అవ్వాలంటే చిల్డ్రన్స్ హ్యావ్ టు టేక్ పర్మిషన్ ఫ్రమ్ దేర్ పేరెంట్స్. అలాగే స్లేవ్స్ జాయిన్ అవ్వాలంటే పర్మిషన్ ఫ్రమ్ దేర్ ఓనర్స్ ఆర్ మాస్టర్స్. అలాగే హూ వర్క్డ్ ఫర్ ద కింగ్ హ్యావ్ టు టేక్ పర్మిషన్ ఫ్రమ్ ద కింగ్. కింగ్ దగ్గర పని చేస్తుంటే పర్మిషన్ తీసుకొని జాయిన్ అవ్వు. నువ్వు ఎక్కడ పొలంలో పని చేస్తుంటే ఓనర్ దగ్గర పర్మిషన్ తీసుకొని జాయిన్ అవ్వు. ఇఫ్ యు ఆర్ అ కిడ్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు టేక్ పర్మిషన్ ఆఫ్ యువర్ పేరెంట్స్, దెన్ ఓన్లీ యు ఆర్ అలౌడ్ ఇన్ టు సంఘాస్. అలాగే నీకు అప్పు ఉందా, అప్పు పే చేశాక సంఘంలో జాయిన్ అవ్వాలి. అలాగే ఉమెన్ హ్యావ్ టు టేక్ పర్మిషన్ ఫ్రమ్ హస్బెండ్. డెఫినెట్గా మీ హస్బెండ్ అలౌ చేస్తేనే మిమ్మల్ని ఇక్కడ యాక్సెప్ట్ చేస్తారు. మెడిటేషన్, బెగ్ ఫర్ ఫుడ్ డ్యూరింగ్ ఫిక్స్డ్ అవర్స్, వీ కాల్ దెమ్ యాజ్ భిక్షుస్. బుద్ధిజం జైనిజంలో దే నోన్ ఫర్ భిక్ష ఆటన. ఒక పర్టికులర్ టైం వెళ్తారు, అడుక్కుంటారు, తెచ్చుకొని తింటారు. వీ కాల్ ఇట్ యాజ్ భిక్ష ఆటన, వీ కాల్ దెమ్ యాజ్ భిక్షు. వాళ్ళు ఉండే ప్లేస్నే ఉంటారు సంఘాస్ అంటారమ్మా. నెక్స్ట్ వన్ ఈజ్ లైక్ విహారాస్. జనరల్గా బుద్ధిజంలో కానీ జైనిజంలో కానీ పీపుల్ ఆర్ మూవింగ్ ఫ్రమ్ వన్ ప్లేస్ టు అనదర్ ప్లేస్. బట్ ఇన్ వింటర్ అండ్ రైనీ సీజన్, ఎస్పెషలీ రైనీ సీజన్, it is difficult for them to move from one place to another place. Hence, they need some rest places. These rest places can be called as viharas. వర్షాకాలం ఎక్కడికి వెళ్ళలేరు కాబట్టి ఆ టైంలో అక్కడ ఉంటారు. We call them as viharas. The supporters build temporary shelters for them in gardens and lived in natural caves and hill areas. అంటే న్యాచురల్ కేవ్స్ కావచ్చు, హిల్ ఏరియాస్ కావచ్చు, ఎవరైనా కట్టించిన దాంట్లో కావచ్చు, వాళ్ళు టెంపరీగా ఉండేదనే ఉంటారు విహారాస్. బిల్ట్ బై రిచ్ మర్చెంట్స్ ఆర్ ల్యాండ్ ఓనర్స్ అండ్ లోకల్ కింగ్స్. ఈ బౌద్ధ భిక్షులకు ఈ విహారాస్ ఎవరు కట్టిస్తారంటే వాళ్ళ ఫాలోవర్స్ కట్టిస్తారు అంతే. ద స్టేజెస్ ఆఫ్ లైఫ్, లైక్ వాట్ ఈస్ దిస్? ఆశ్రమాస్. లుక్ అట్ దిస్. ఇన్ ద హ్యూమన్ లైఫ్ దెర్ ఆర్ స్టేజెస్ ఆఫ్ లైఫ్. ఫస్ట్ వన్, బ్రహ్మచర్య. Brahmacharya means you are not married, you are student life, brahmacharya. Till marriage we called brahmacharya. After marriage we called grihastha. After marriage, after doing all your responsibilities, you are becoming vanaprastha, like leaving the family and living like vanaprastha life. Next one, sannyasa. It's not samyasa, it is sannyasa. When I say sannyasa, leading an aesthetic life, no family, nothing. You are roaming around the world leading a simple sannyasa. So what are the 4 stages of life? We call it as ashrama system. So what are the 4 stages? First one, brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasa. These are the 4 stages of human life. Look, brahmacharya, like a student. Grihastha, with wife. Let's say vanaprastha, leaving everything, just going in search of knowledge. After that you are becoming complete sannyasi. But the worship of bodhisattvas become very popular. I can tell this is Vajrayana Buddhism. This we will talk in upcoming NCERTs, but not in 6th class. For time being, what are bodhisattvas? There are several bodhisattvas within Buddhism. These are very fundamentals that are present in 6th class history NCERT, but there is a lot we must learn about Buddhism and Jainism. Just introducing the titles of the names. In upcoming NCERTs we see more about these religions and their impact on Indian society and world. Even today, India has a cultural connections with, let us say, China, let us say Bhutan, let us say Nepal, let us say Southeast Asia, because of Buddhism. We'll talk more facts about this. I hope you like the lecture that I have given you. We will make more interesting PPTs. And hence stay connected to Tirumal Classes. Learn the knowledge. Knowledge is always a means of your success. మీరంతా మంచిగా నేర్చుకుంటే మీ కెరీర్ అంతా బాగుంటుంది. So never compromise in learning. Spend quality time in learning and everything. Thank you. Have a nice day.